Kenny, who do we have on the pod today?
Today we had Juri, the co-founder of Core Photography.
Yeah, amazing guy, like so much wisdom. Been in business for over 13 years, built up from just 2 people, Juri and Jason, to now well over 30 staff. What was your number one takeaway from our convo with Juri?
I just love that he shared all the work that it took, especially in the early stages, for them to build to the point to where they are now, even where they were. When it comes to hiring people and building a team, him and Jason did a lot of work on their own at the beginning, and I think to get something off the ground and to start creating what most people have as their dreams isn't easy, and it's a lot of work. And it's a lot of work that people don't see, and it was great to have him share those stories because it really showed that, you know, you see these businesses that are doing great and they're an inspiration, but you don't really hear the stories of what it took for them to get there, and it's not always, you know, sunshine and rainbows, right? And all you see is like the $1 million homes that they're filming and all those videos, and it's cool to see that, but at the same time it's great to hear all the work that it took for them to get to where they are now. So he was so open. He shared everything.
Everything. Especially towards the end, like the last 20 minutes, I think a lot of people will get. He
got going.
That's when he really started.
He was just I
think a lot of people will get a lot out of the last 20 minutes of that. That's what I took away too. Is a lot of people. It's very surface level. They don't see the actual work that goes into it. He was talking about the first 3 years, 4 years of business when it was just him and Jason, and the hours and hours and hours every week that they had to put in to build this business. That sort of stuff that you don't really hear. So I thought it was very valuable. He amazing guest. Did such a great job. Really happy with this episode.
If you're a creative that's looking to turn your creative into a business, there's so much in here that you'll be able to take from.
Fantastic episode, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. And
likewise, hope you guys take a lot from this one.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Yes, please, and share. We've never said it.
Sorry. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Costs you nothing, and that way we can reach more people and get more people on the pod as well.
Yep, we love all the support that we've gotten already. A lot of people have been sending us messages. They've been enjoying the pod, which is great. And the more people we reach, the easier it is for us to get more guests that can not only help us, but help you guys at the same time.
We're very fortunate. We started like 13 years ago. A lot of the agents we're still working with.
So
they've grown. You know, they had, say, 2 sales agents. Now they've got 6. So then they hire another 1 or 2. That's another 10 jobs a month or whatever it may be. So it just clocks on. And then you've got to, you know, the worst thing I hate, because they see how, you know, has Core's grown. They're like, oh, you're too busy for us. And it's not that. Like, it's hard to find the talent to keep up with the ongoing demand. Like, I can't just stick anyone in there. You know, and like the contractor model for us doesn't work. You know, we just kind of rather have people full-time, in-house, more reliable.
Have you tried that before?
We did earlier on. And we've seen other people do it, competitors do it, and it just doesn't work in a sense that, you know, contractors are good during quiet periods because they're not busy, so they're happy to take your work on. And then as soon as spring comes, say, hey man, it's like, oh man, I'm full for 3 weeks. It's like, fuck. Like, now what do I do? So, you know, that was the whole, you know, some companies do the contract model, but again, that doesn't fly with everybody because, you know, the quality shifts, you're getting randoms, you're not getting the same.
Because you're not their priority.
Correct. And then they're, oh, you're too busy. It's not that. Like, I'm trying to keep up with everyone, trying to make everyone happy. You know, like the industry's changed so much. Before you could give photos, say 24 hours, 48-hour turnaround. Like I literally do a shoot at 3 p.m. like today. They'll be calling me at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Like, hey, where is it? It's like, fuck. And like, it's also us setting the bar because
I was going to say, you create that expectation.
We did, you know, and that's the shit thing. I hate it. And like, now you have to I love and hate this industry because I get it. Like the agents are getting pressed on by the owners, but you know, at the same time, you know, they want quality work. Quality takes time. That's what I always say to the guys. You know, like you're busting my balls, but like, give me at least 24 hours. You know, you know, and set the owner's expectations, and you know, we'll do our best. You know.
Do you get that? Because some clients will think, oh, they've given it to me so soon, they didn't put any effort into this.
No. We have like proper quality control stages. That's why we have like because we, you know, again, Core's been around nearly 13, 14 years now. And like I worked for previous companies and you learn from what they do because the shit thing is with us, there's no blueprint, there's no textbook I can pull up and go, how to run a creative real estate photography business. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Now there is, people are doing it, but you know, I don't pay attention to them. Why would I?
Yeah, exactly.
We're 10 times the size. But we're 10 times the size.
Exactly.
I got one guy, he's got one person working for him. He's trying to tell
Exactly.
people how to run a business. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you know, and we're constantly learning, you know, and it's again, I reckon, like when we get a job, say for a gym, and they're like, you know, when do you need? They're like, oh, we don't need for a month. We're like, a month to edit? Like, we're going to get back to you tomorrow. Like, you know, that's how we're like, our mindset is. So whenever we touch into another realm, we're like, we kill it because we've got that real estate mentality, even photos.
Yeah.
You know, like we'll do, you know, we also dabble into the architectural world, and, you know, that's a different style of edit, you know, but we still, like, some guys won't deliver for, you know, a couple of weeks. You know, we can deliver in 3-4 days or 2-3, well, it depends, you know.
Yeah.
So we blow their minds in that kind of sense when it comes to, you know, other content. So
do you guys have all in-house editors, or do you?
Yeah, in-house.
Yeah, right. And any of the videographers editors as well, or is
All
it
of them.
strictly
All of them.
Okay, yeah, cool.
All of them. And like we've bred this beautiful, like our videographers are the best. I love my team. Like, you know, and it's the funny story how it started. So we just had core photography, you know, me and my business partner Jason. You know, we didn't really ever think about videos, but as the industry changed, you know, people started paying for more videos. I'm like, fuck, I think it's like we talk and we're like, videos, it's definitely heading in that direction. Yeah. And then, but it wasn't entirely. It was more like people were getting videos just on the premium stuff. But then the second the market got hard, videos were the first thing to drop off because, you know, they're paying a couple grand for a video. You know, if owners are getting tight, you know, interest rates gone up, the first thing they cut is the video. You know, we'll keep the photos. So it was a weird kind of time to be doing videos, but I never forgot. I had a really good client, and I hadn't heard from him for a couple of weeks, and then I see him post like a video, photos. I said, you know, whatever his name was, you know, what happened? He's like, oh, sorry, you had to go with somebody else. You know, you did videos, this, and that. I was like, I got the shit so hard. Literally the next day, I called like a videographer. I said, what do I need to buy? And he's like, you buy this, you buy this. I went out and spent 10 grand. I said, Jason, I'm going to buy some gear. He's like, go for it. Literally went and bought 10 grand of gear because I thought, if I buy this, I've got to commit to it. So I went and bought it and fucking learned how to do videos. And that was it. And then we literally started, you know, that I just piggybacked off our database of photos, which was a lot. You know, we're still pumping a lot of, you know, homes a day. I think we're doing like 20-something homes a day. And then piggybacked off that, started telling a lot of the agents I knew really close. So I'm like, let me do your video for free. You know, you start off, let me
build your portfolio.
Some of the videos I did were terrible at the start. But, you know, you pick up quick. You learn, you know, a couple shoots in, you're like, don't do that again, don't do this. And I found like an editor through a mate. He's like, I'll do your work for you. But again, he got really busy as well, unreliable. So, you know, all these things along the way I'm picking, I'm like, oh, fuck, you know, I need to get someone who can, if I'm going to get someone in-house, I need someone who can edit as well. So I was only doing maybe 3 to 6 videos a month, you know, and then, you know, I could feel it was getting a little bit busy, getting a bit more traction, and we started offering packs and things like that, and then we, you know, started doing around 10. Then I ended up getting, I found a guy on Instagram, and I was like, it was really funny. I'll tell you a really funny story actually. I get this guy reach out to me. He's like, hey, you ever seen some of your stuff on Instagram? Do you do work for so and so? I was like, yeah. But we're only doing the photos, and I actually wasn't doing his videos. And he's like, oh, I need you to do a video in Byron Bay. I'm like, say no more. So, you know, I'm thinking I'm shitting myself, but I'm not one to say no. I love taking these, you know, as a creative, you've got to take these jobs and you learn from it, and you know, you've got to do it. So I, you know, said to my business partner, Jason, I've got a job in Byron Bay. He's like, roll his eyes. Of course you do. You know, he never knows what to expect from me. That's why I love him, you know? Anyway, so I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to do this. So I saw this guy, this creative on Insta. I said, you know, hey man, would you be interested in doing a shoot in Byron Bay? He's like, yeah. I said, sweet, I'll give you $500. You know, I didn't know what, like, you know. So I quoted up the job. Really, I wasn't making much. You know, got one of my photographers to come out. So there was myself, a photographer, and that creative on Insta. Had never met the bloke, right? And we're just chatting, and like, I said, all right, meet me at the airport. You know, we're getting the tickets paid for, accommodation's been paid for. You know, see you on Saturday. Yeah. And that's it. Locked it in. You know, the agent's expecting us, you know, in Byron Bay. This is a little bit of a side tangent, but it's still part of the story, because this is like, again, if I didn't do this, we wouldn't be where we are with the video side of things today. So Friday morning, I had a job, and I picked up this table. I'm doing one shoot, and then I've got to go to the airport at 2 p.m. Right, and I'll never forget. I picked the table up, and I see this tweak in my back. I'm like, ooh, you know, I'm like, oh, that didn't feel good. You know, anyway, so I carry on doing the photo shoot. Next thing you know, my back seizes up. I'm like, oh my God, I can't move. I'm laying on the floor. I'm crippled, right? I'm crippled. I've never had this before. Like, I'm talking like 50-year-old man, like crippled, right?
Yes.
I'm like, what the fuck have I done? But the table, must have the way I've done it, just jolted my back, you know? So I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, I've got to be at the airport at 2 p.m. I can't walk, right? I can't even drive my car. So I called my wife, said, you got to pick me up. So she comes, literally I hobble into the car, said, take me to the Cairo. Go to the Cairo, it's like 11 o'clock, right? Get there, Cairo's like, I can't do much, man. Like, this is fresh out. You've just done your back. You know, I think you've got a bulging disc. I'm like, so can I work tomorrow? He's like, I think you need some pain meds. So I'm freaking it, right? I'm like, got this shoot. What do? I can't cancel, right? Because imagine I call the guy up a day before, hey, I've done my back. Yeah, right. You know, the biggest load of, you'll think I'm the biggest load of shit. So I'm committed. I'm like, I'm going. My wife's like, you can't go. And I'm like, no, I'm going. So I'm sitting in the car like a pencil, right? Because I can't bend my back. So she drops me off, get to the airport, domestic, gate 46. I'm like, fucking hell. The furthest gate you could possibly go. So thank God my mate, the photographer who was working with me, he sees me, he goes, what the fuck? And I said, did my back. And he's like, give me your bag, you know? Still got to meet the videographer I've never met at the gate, right? So I've hobbled, right? It took me like 25 minutes to get to this gate. People are offering me wheelchairs at Qantas. And I'm like, no, I can't sit down. Let me just walk it off, you know? So anyway, I'm petrified, get to the gate, meet this videographer. He's like, hey, you know, I'm so-and-so. I'm like, you know, hey, I'm Juri. Let's do this, man. You're shooting tomorrow. He's like, really? I said, I'm done. I've done my back. Yeah, I'm like, I'm delegating right now. I'm like, you know, Anthony, you're doing the photos. Yeah. You know, Alex, you're doing the video. I'll help, you know? So anyway, we got to Byron. I'm like, guys, I'm out. I went straight to the room. I'm just like praying to God I can I'm just doping up on every paracetamol, whatever, painkiller I can have, right? So we get to the shoot. Anyway, we pull it off, kill it, right? We kill it. Anyway, I do end up shooting that day because, you can't help it. You're watching from afar. I've got the gimbal there and you warm up. So we did the whole show. I think we started at 5 a.m. I'm talking we had to do like sunrise shoots, like full. He had a cast and everything. A helicopter was landing on this beautiful like hill. It was this beautiful property on the top of a mountain, and the helicopter flew in. Everything. Wow. So we ended up working from like 5 a.m. till 5 p.m. And then that night I died. I literally was dead. I didn't go to work the next 4 days after that. Like, that's how bad it was. Yeah. Wow. So I remember I came back and Jason, my business partner's like, what the fuck did you do? I was like, don't ask. So anyway, we did that shoot. That guy, it was almost like a test. Going back to that creative that I met on Insta, I was like, I said to Jason, it's a great opportunity. If I like what I see, I'm going to offer him a job. He was from Sydney. He was totally in a different industry. He wasn't in the creative realm. He just it was a side hobby, you know? They have a lot of creative starts. So anyway, literally after we shot at Byron Bay, that night at the hotel room, he started editing and he was like whipping together and like, it was nearly done that night. Wow. We put up like a draft copy. I was like, damn, this kid's good, you know? So came back to Sydney. I was like, listen, so-and-so, I need you. I need you on the team. Took some,
what's it going to take?
What's it going to take? That's kind of what it was. I said, listen, we're growing. The video side's going amazing. I need you. I really, really need you on the team. And he ended up coming on board, and he ended up staying with us for about three or so years. Helped me build up the video, the video team. Helped me build up the quality of our videos. It trained a lot of my guys. And now we're doing like over 100 and something videos a month. Wow. Just in real estate content. Yeah. So that's not even the content side. Just videos. So, and I just think, fuck, if I didn't go, I'd never have got him on board with us. Yeah. It's like this little turning point in the road,
When you look back, little moments,
and then like it could, I sometimes think it was any other client, it was any other situation, probably would have just been like, no, my health's more important, But I knew what was at stake, And again, you don't want to ruin your reputation. Like, again, calling that agent, being like, hey man, my back hurts.
I'm sending some guy I found.
Yeah, I would have been like, you bitch, like you come on. Yeah. So he pulled it off, and it was fantastic, man. Wow. So that was that side of things. That's where it all kind of came from.
Yeah. How do you find most of your creatives, the guys that are working for you now?
I love them. I found a couple on Instagram, and I think that, it's weird. The hiring process is, I think you've got to go with your gut with people, because obviously you're hiring someone for your business. You want to be able to chat with them, have banter. You got to like them. Obviously you want them to be talented too, but you can also teach, as long as they're talented in different ways. Like, I love guys that can problem solve, I know a lot of my videographers, if they see something, someone another company doing. They're like, oh, I'm gonna see how to do that. You know, bang, straight on YouTube, done it. Hey guys, check this out. This is how we do this, and that. And that's what I look for. You know, like guys, because I get how hard the creative realm is to do. You know, and if they got good content, you know, a lot of my guys never did real estate photography. Real estate videos or anything like that. You know, that was kind of passed on, taught. It's not a complicated game, but you know, you need that kind of, you know, how to think quick on the job and, you know, problem solve. Like I said, that's a big part of it.
Eager to learn.
100%. You know, and I love it. I said, be creative, like do your thing. Because I don't want everyone to look the same. Like, even though we have a bit of a style within Core, I like, you know, I've got a Brazilian guy, you know, who we always say, you know, put your Brazilian spice on things. You know, you can just tell he's got a different style. Every single one of them has their own flavor. And, you know, sometimes I'll know the client or I'll know the job we're getting and I'll be like, I think he'd be great for that job and so forth, you know? And it's good content for us. Like, our stuff doesn't always look so similar, you know, because you're getting, you know, if we do a wrap up, I'll get, you know, one of the guys to do this quarter and the next guy to do the next quarter. You know what I mean? So even just the way they shoot, you can just tell the styles are different.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
So, yeah.
And it's so important. I think a lot of creatives, they like their work could be great, but they don't develop the other skills.
No, that's right.
The eagerness to learn. You guys always talk about putting on a show for your clients. So client experience
100%.
is a big deal.
100%.
So I feel like when you're looking for a creative, so you have a really talented creative.
I know exactly what you're going to say. Yeah.
One that's not so talented, but is able to create that experience, fit well with the culture that you've built. Who would you rather go for?
Before, I actually didn't go for the more talented one. I'd probably go for the one who was more charismatic or more, you know, approachable. But I've learned you just can't judge a book by its cover in this industry. And I'll tell you why, because I've had guys like that and then their work, they just didn't have that creative flair, you know, and they just couldn't nail the creative side. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's, you know, putting on a show is 50% of the job and the other 50 is delivering some quality work, you know? And, you know, they were delivering the on-site show, but then it came to the, you know, the deliverables and they just weren't there, you know? And then I've had guys totally quiet. You know, I've got one guy on my team, really, really quiet guy, came in for some, just to kind of see how we did things, bit of like, what do you call it? Not training,
like an internship?
Not even an intern, just a little bit of work experience.
Okay.
So he came in for a little bit of work experience and, you know, he's watching my guys, they're teaching him a few things, and then by the end of the week, he whips up his dope edit. And I'm like, oh, we need this. Like, I want him on the team. So we got him on the team. He's like this quiet assassin, but he delivers bangers. And on the job, he might not be the most social guy or, you know, bro-surfing everyone on the job, but mate, he delivers the goods. Yeah. And you can just tell, like, it's like show-stopping material. You know what I mean? So, you know, from saying that, I just, you know, there's been guys even... I've had other guys who are, you know, really, 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 really quiet. And I saw their portfolios and I thought, oh, you know, I don't know how they're gonna, because agents, in our world, the real estate agents, they're very full on, you know, and they're all pretty confident people. They're very bossy sometimes. You know, you know, they can be pricks.
Totally.
Like, you know what I mean? Not all of them, but you know what I mean? Like, they know what they want.
Egos.
And they've got, you know, time is money for them and they don't want you fluffing around. So, you know, you got to... Sometimes I wonder, is this guy going to get rattled? You know, if this guy comes at him, is he going to buckle? And it does take a little bit of time to develop thick skin. And in the end, I think the agents, you know, once they work with that person for a while, they're like, okay, I'm not going to, you know, they know I can cop a fair bit of shit, you know what I mean? And then when they're with them, they're like, they tone it back a little bit, you know what I mean? So yeah, never judge a book by its cover.
You see a lot of agents trying to build their personal brand on socials now too. Is that something that you guys help with?
Yeah, 100%. So we, part of Core, we've actually got our little, you know, another arm to it, you know, Core content curators. And that's just, we could see, you know, we're already doing the photos, the video content. So we thought, why not add social media management, and helping them with that stuff, you know, because I know when we started Core, I was doing the posting. I hated it. I couldn't stand doing it. You know, and you procrastinate. You know, like, oh, is this good enough? And then some days you're like in post mode, you're like, fuck it, I'll just post anything. You know what I mean? Yes. And then it's good.
We know that feeling.
Yeah, you go through like a month and you're like posting aggressively. Then you just go through this thing where you won't post nothing for a month. And you're like, why did I do that? Why did I stop? And you get in your own head. You know what I mean? Like, you know, who's going to like it? How many people are going to like it? All that, you know, all that stuff. And then, you know, and then we knew, I wasn't the only one, obviously, and agents, they really struggle with that, you know, because these guys just, they're built to sell, you know, the good ones are really built to sell, you know, they don't have time for that crap, you know, so we knew there was a market and a demand for that. And again, you're making that beautiful one-stop shop where we're going, we're already doing your photos, already doing your videos. Might as well get some BTS photos of you on site.
Yep.
But we've got it pretty much,
all covered.
Why not post it for you now? So, that's where that came from. And we've had real good success with that. And again, that was a real learning curve for us.
Those videos are very different to real estate videos, right? 100%. Do you encourage them to like show a bit more personality?
100%.
Yeah.
And it's funny. They're like, no, I don't like the video. Next minute, they're like, yeah, sure you don't like the video. No, but it's, again, like doing the pods,
they love it.
We've done it a few times now and you get better and better at it,
yes.
and same with those guys. And but it is important, you see a lot of the big guys, they're doing it now, and it does make a difference having that presence, especially during the quieter months.
Yep.
So it does make a big difference.
Do you get clients through social media? Like compared to when you started, how are you getting clients at the beginning compared to how you're getting them now?
Clients, man, I was a savage. I used to have a real big sales background, so I was just calling people, and
I was just cold calls.
Yeah, just cold calling.
Wow.
Look, any agents I saw that were doing good, or I was fortunate. I knew a lot of agents around the area as well.
You used to do real estate.
Yeah, well. Yeah, kind of
dabbled.
We'll go back to that story,
Okay.
but I'd cold call. Now look, our social media, we're constantly getting people inquiring with us, which is fantastic.
So by putting out your posts on social, you're getting clients through
all
there?
the time. Yeah, all the time,
Awesome.
and it's like you asked me how many people we got working for us. Like we're getting that much work. It's hard to keep up with it sometimes. So we have to kind of slow it. Sometimes when we're getting too many inquiries, it's almost like we have to slow down how much we're putting on the socials, just because you don't want to be saying giving people pricing or promising the world, then you can't deliver.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things. Like we always took it slow. Whatever we did, whether it was photos, floor plans, videos, drone photography, we always took our time with it. Because when you start in the industry, especially like I've seen a lot of creatives are like, oh, I'm going to get John, he owns a gym. I'm going to get this person, he owns a florist. And they get all these people and then they don't deliver the quality work. And you've burnt them the first time round, And I saw that happen. We kind of did that here and there at the start. And I was like, okay, let's not rush it. We don't need to take over the world in 1 month. Let's do it slowly. And then you kind of learn, the better the work is, the more work that comes,
Good advice,
so
man.
That's really good,
true.
actually. Yeah.
That's
so the better the work, the more work
I
that
suffered
comes,
from that. I had a period, it was about 2 years ago. I started getting all these inquiries and I just said yes to every, and I was saying yes. In my mind, I was like, I don't know when I'm going to do this, bro. Like I have so much work to do.
And you've never dabbled in it either. You're like, shit, how am I going to do this?
Yeah. And then the stress. And then you realize what I realized, like then you get shit service to all these people. So then all of them are on your back.
Yeah.
Where's my work? I'm stressed out. I'm trying to do it all, and I realize, man, you can't.
And you probably know you haven't delivered the best you could because you haven't had the time.
You're just trying to rush them all out.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to be like, I want to say yes to everything. I don't want to say no to work. But then your work suffers, and then the clients suffer.
But everyone's circumstances are different. Like, some people have mortgages, so you probably have to say yes. You don't, maybe you don't have the luxury of just chilling and you know what I mean? So even with us, like when we started earlier on, people were like, can you take photos of, I don't know if you could. We got like a burger place to ask us to take photos of their burgers. Fuck, man. I don't know if they went under, but fuck, our burger photos were terrible. Like was
it food photography or the
joint? Food photography. It was so bad, man. The burgers, we did such a bad job, man. Like looking back, at the time you thought you're the gun. You've got like this.
You always do.
You've got the light. At the time, and then you look back and you're like, Jesus, the order white balance was just off. Everything was yellow. Like we didn't even stole the burgers properly. You know what I mean? And
all the little things.
Yeah, at the time, I'll never forget. We're playing around with it, with the guns. We're getting all this photography work, but so it's
Have you guys done food photography since, or?
Yeah, we have.
Okay,
we got now. Well, again,
better?
now like when we hire people, a lot of our guys, a lot of our photographers or creatives. Oh yeah, I've done this, I've done that. Like food photography, done a bit of fashion. So obviously, if we're getting a food job, we'll give it to the photographer who we think works best with that kind of.
So you're always looking for, say, like people to fill roles. So if you're lacking in a certain specific, say, food photography role, you're looking for someone. I
wouldn't say necessarily looking. It's always a bonus when you get people because, if I get a really, like I said, a really, great person who I'm like, oh, this guy, I need to have this guy on my team. I just love, even recently we hired a guy, and he was just. You could just tell how much he wanted to do, like be a videographer, And I saw some of his work, but I could just see the passion he had behind it. And honestly, he's been with us probably a month or so, and he's delivering, you know, and I could just see he needed a chance. And I, you know, my business partner met him as well, and we're like, let's give him a go, you know. And you got to give these people a chance, because you want hungry people, you know, and like you can't buy that, you know. And like this guy's sitting back, you know, after hours, coming in before we even open, and man, you could just see he's like blowing our minds away already in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, so look, having that stuff is a bonus, you know. And sometimes we forget, you know, it's like a lot of the guys, you know, they do. You know, sometimes we'll have our photography team meetings, and we forget, like, oh, you do that. So, you know, next time something comes up, because we're not actively looking for other stuff outside of real estate just yet.
Yep.
Like we get us, and we'll take it on. So, you know, take it as it comes, I guess. You know?
Why'd you go with real estate?
So funny enough, I actually wanted to be a real estate agent, and I ended up getting a job with this agent. I'm not going to mention his name, but fuck, he was just a prick, like horrible person. Like after being in the industry now, I've seen what real estate agents are like. I probably picked the worst person ever to work with. And he was just a savage. And you know, while I was working for him as an associate, I was doing a lot of photo shoots, and I was working with his real estate photographer at the time, you know. And I'm like, going to shoots. I'm like, fuck, what a cool job. This guy's wearing shorts, taking photos, you know, and I'm picking his like brain. I'm like, oh, how long you been doing this? You know, can you make money? And he's like, yeah, man, this is like, I love what I do. And I was always a bit of a creative person. You know, I always loved dabbling in that world, but you know, you never think you can make money doing it. And this is going back, you know, 15, 16 years ago, you know, like, and I never forget, you know, it sat on my mind for a couple of days, and I'm like, fuck, I want to do that. You know, I'm thinking, geez, not all the outgoings. You do your own editing. You know, you sit on. I've got a computer. I've got a car. Got a license. Like, what else do I need? Just need to buy a camera kit. You know, it's not a bad investment for something. You know, the return can be good. And you don't have to outlay a lot. So. Anyway, I come home and I'm like, you know, said to my import parents, hey, I want to be a photographer. My dad straight away, fucking, what the fuck is a photographer? And I'm like, oh, fuck. You know, the worst thing you can say to like import parents, you know, if you don't say you're a doctor or fucking, I'm going to uni, you're just a disappointment anyway. So straight away, that was kind of like, oh, you know, they get in your head, you know, they automatically like, am I doing the right thing? And then one of my real close mates, like we're like brothers, Jason, who's my business partner now. And I'll never forget, Jace, I called Jace up, and I remember Jace was doing his graphic design course, and I'm like, fuck, perfect person to get into business to do real estate photography with, you know? So I called Jace up, and he knows what I'm like, you know, anything could come out of my mouth. So I call him up, I'm like, Jace, I've got an idea. And he's like, fuck, here we go. And I'm like, how about real estate photography? So I pitched the idea to him, and I could see he's trying to pick holes in it, but he couldn't really, you know, and I'm doing the whole, it ties in with what you're doing. You're doing graphic design. Like, this is perfect. And I know I'm head nicking him,
it's
you know.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, you know. So I had to let him sizzle on it for a few days. And, you know, next thing, because he was at a company for like 9.5 years. And, and I could tell he was just waiting to get his 10 years. And then, you know, he was probably going to continue with the graphic design stuff and so forth. So he's like, listen, I'm open to it, you know, let me think about it a little bit more. So I said, no worries, you know. And crazy enough, I don't know if we'll put this in the final thing, but I'll tell you guys anyway, because this is a really cool story. And I've told like a couple of my team this, but there was an agent in the office, a young guy, right? He was a full-fledged agent. So he was on his own 2 feet, commission only, but he wasn't, you know, it wasn't as probably wasn't probably the top 3 in the office, you know? And I remember after getting that idea, I wanted to do real estate photography. I actually had lunch with him like a couple of days later. I'm like, hey, you know, we'll call him John. I say, hey, John, I'm thinking about doing real estate photography. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, you know, I pitched it to him, and he's like, yeah, it's not a bad idea. A week later, he comes down to me, goes, hey, Juri, let's have lunch today. I said, oh, done, let's do it. At lunch, he goes, hey, you know, you told me about the real estate photography idea? I said, yeah. He goes, I'm doing it. I said, what do you mean you're doing it? He goes, I'm leaving real estate. I'm going to go do it.
Wow.
So my heart sunk, right, automatically, because I'm like, this guy's stole my idea. Like, I just pitched this idea. Must have been a good salesman.
Yeah, you must have done a really good job.
Didn't get this reaction from Jason.
No, Jason was just like,
Jason's still thinking. I'm like, Jason, come on. So anyway, this guy's, he's literally handed his resignation.
Wow.
And I'm in a really different part of my life. I, you know, I was still living with my parents, and I was, you know, helping them out with rent. You know, my parents weren't very well off or anything like that. So I didn't have the luxury to go buy all this camera gear and start my own. I had to kind of really, really take my time on it. So he, you know, this guy's told me he's doing it. He literally did. literally left a week later, handed his resignation.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, don't forget about me. You know, like, tell me how it is. And he's like, no, I'll tell you how like it all goes. Because I'm semi like, just because we all know like a lot of real estate agents, and I know he's just going to take them with him.
Yeah.
Right. So automatically I'm like, fuck, I've lost all my leads if I wanted to do this. And I was gutted. I'm not going to lie. I was like a little bit like, oh shit, man. You know, maybe I shouldn't tell people. I'm one of those people. I wear my heart on my chest. I love talking to people, and there's no secrets with me, unfortunately. So I was like, shit, did I do the wrong thing? And then anyway, a month goes past. There's me sitting at my desk doing calls for this prick of a boss. Call that guy John, the one that used to work with us. Yeah. Hey, how's it going? He's like, man, this is the best. I'm loving it. And I'm like my heart's just sinking, man. I'm calling Jason, we've got to do this, man, And he's like, man, this is the best. You got to do it, Juri. You got to do it. I'm like, it's driving me even more. Anyway, I think a week or two later, I had up this big fight with my boss. I ended up walking out. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. So one of my fallback jobs, like when I was young, I actually worked in construction. So bang, went back straight to construction. Again, needed the money. So I just went back, started doing form work. Hated that. That was like the ultimate head between the legs, just walking back on site and back guys, And I was only young at the time. It was only like 20.
He always comes back.
Yeah, and that's what they say. All the guys are like, I knew you'd be back.
Yeah. It's only a matter of time.
My old tool belt, roughing it on.
The money's so good.
So anyway, that I ended up doing that for about 6 to 8 months, and then this guy John that left, who's living my dream right now. I'm back eating dust, and he's like, Juri, I've got you call this company. I think they've got a job opening. I was like, done. So called the guy up, and I'm like, he's like, what experience do you have? I'm like, nothing. But I'm like, I really want to do it. I'll do anything. Yeah. So he actually goes, I'll give you a job doing dust photography. Once a week we need contractors. We'll train you up, and I'm like, done. So thank God for John, because he ended up giving me this contact, and I ended up just doing 1 or 2 nights a week, dust photography, because I needed during daylight savings, because it's like 7, 8 o'clock. Yeah. They need people doing it. So I ended up doing that. It was like $100 or $150 a night, which was cool. It wasn't about the money at the time. It was just like, sweet, I've got my foot in the door. Yeah. So after I got the job, I had to quickly run and buy camera gear, and then me and Jason ended up doing a few camera courses together behind the scenes. But Jason's meanwhile still working for, his company, trying to get I think he was just past his 10 years. But again, he's got a mortgage. I'm just trying to make ends meet as well. So we just didn't have the funds to start up our own thing. Yep. But it was always in the back of our mind, And then funny enough, the guy that I started doing the dusk for, he calls me, I remember it was late at the end of the year, and he's like, Juri, I've got a girl going on maternity leave. There might be a job opening. I'm pumped. I'm back on the building site, doing the Conor McGregor walk. I'm like, I'm out. I'm going, So he's like, I had the meeting with him, and it went really well. And he's like, all right, you'll start in October, right? And I tell my boss, and my boss is like, good on you, Juri. All these guys, they'll be here for the next 10 years. I'm really happy to see a young guy like you, trying to live out his dreams. And I said, thanks, man. Really appreciate it. So handing my resignation, my 4 weeks, I'm ready to go. The week I'm leaving, right, I get a call from that guy, the company I'm about to start with, doing photography, and it was a really low wage at the time, but I didn't care, I just wanted to get in there. And then he goes, Juri, things have changed. I'm gonna have to rescind the job. And I'm stop, right? No. And he's like, I can't tell you. And I was gutted, and I again walked back on site. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere, guys. And they're like, I told you. I told you.
That would suck.
So I'm shattered, right? Yeah. I'm really, really upset. I call John, the old, real estate agent. So John. No, but he got me in there. It wasn't his fault. So I said, John, what's going on? Anyway, basically, the company that I was supposed to go work for, they lost a massive contract for an agency. And pretty much nearly half of their work was gone. Yeah. So what I did was, John actually told me, he goes, go call this other company. They've taken the new contract.
Oh, wow.
So funny enough, I called them up.
And they...
Bang, gave me a gig. So listen, this is the funny part.
Oh, shit.
The day I had to interview, right? God, I hope they don't watch this. When they interviewed me, right? There was 5 other photographers. They'd been doing it for years. I've only done dust photography. I'd never done a day shoot in my life.
Yep.
So they've got put us all in the room and said, listen, we've got the new contract for this agency, Really excited to have you on board. You all know what you're doing. I'm just there going, All right, yep, know what we're doing. Right, he goes, all right, you start next week. So bang, that was it.
Wow.
I started working with them. Ended up, like, because I was so obsessed. I really wanted to be good, you know, and I was like brosifing every agent. You know, I was doing a lot of work around the East, and I lived here, so I was smart. I was like making friends with the guys in the East, so they'd request me. So I'm not going out to, you know, was it out west, whoop and stuff like that. So it was good. I ended up building, you know, like making some really, really good relationships with agents, which helped me to eventually when we started Call. And then eventually everything I learned, you know, I helped, you know, taught Jason, you know, that was kind of it. And then we, once we built up enough capital and stuff like that, we were like, all right, let's do this. And that was kind of it. And then
that's huge.
The rest is history. And then 13 years later, like Jason and I both we still like getting in the trenches, you know, we still like taking photos. We're not sitting in our office kind of like delegating and things like that. You know, that's obviously comes with the job. You kind of learn to get better at that stuff. But you need to have those touch points because I think people want to see you there as well, you know. So it's a big part of it. You know, you don't want to be kind of a ghost within your own business, you know, where people don't see you and, you know, you got to have those relationships. It's really, really important, you know. And a lot of these agents now, they're at that point where they don't even have time to come to their own photo shoots. So, you know, they will end up calling me and say, hey, you know, I'm not happy with this, or I need this redone, or the owner wants it on a sunnier day and things like that. And they know they can just call me. So I've built those relationships over the years where now I know I can send a certain photographer to their job. They're not going to flinch because they're sending their associates. But, you know, they know if something doesn't go right, they can just call me and I'll get it sorted for them. So it does make a really, really big difference.
Clients would love that.
Yeah, 100%. So, and that takes time, you know.
What made you think that you needed a partner? Most people would. This is something most people would just go on their own. Not many people think I want to do this with someone else.
At the time, I didn't know this, but looking back, like being a creator is a very lonely industry. Like it's fucking hard, man. Like it's hard. You got to, you got to wake up and motivate yourself. You know, and I'm big on that. Like I love motivating I'm always been a big motivator of myself. Like no one else is going to do it except yourself. You know, so I've always had to push myself. And Jason, listen, we were like brothers, you know, and he's a very smart guy. And I just knew if there was someone I was going to work well with, it would be him. And honestly, we've never in like 15 years, you know, we don't argue. We might have a little bit of a light sparring session with things. And, you know, I think you've got to be, you know, if there's something I want more, he'll kind of let me have it. If there's something he wants more, I'll let him have it. You know, you've got to find that even ground, you know what I mean? And I think working together, you just got to have the same goals. As long as you've got the same goals, like I push Core forward, but he keeps Core together. You know, I always say Jason's the heart, I'm the soul, you know, and that's kind of how we've always been that tag team, you know. And before when we started Core, it wasn't Core photography. It was just the Jason and Juri show. And I hated that because, you want people to call it Core photography. You don't want to be just a two-man show.
Yeah.
And we're finally, you know, it took about 5 years or so until you hear people in the industry talking about Core photography, you know. So it's always beautiful to hear that, you know, and you're like, okay, we're doing well, you know, we've done a good job.
So it takes like about 13 to 15 years to become an overnight success.
What's it saying? It takes 10 years to be an overnight success.
Yeah.
And look, I can't give you that. Listen, we did really well straight out the blocks.
Yeah.
And looking back, could we have done better? 100%. You know, I think we should have hired earlier. You know, that was one thing I felt like we were, Were
you just trying to build up too much capital or like?
I don't even know. I think you just get caught up in the excitement. You know, you're doing, you know, you're winning, you know, you're doing so well, your business is killing it, you know, but we're at the point where waking up at 5, because we had offshore editors for all our stuff at that time, and you're sending it to the offshore guys. They send it to you about 5, 6 in the morning. My first job's at 9, right? So me and Jace would do, like max, a normal person would probably do 5 jobs a day. You know, we're squeezing 7 to 8. Like we were like this calendar, you wouldn't even have time to have lunch. Like literally, I'm not joking. You're driving with your knee, just stuffing food in your mouth. And, you know, we're doing 7, 8 jobs a day. So the next morning I'm sending my jobs out, Jason's sending his jobs out, and you're getting up at like 5, just pumping them, right? Then the second you get in the car, agents are coming to work. Hey, can you change this? Hey, this isn't wrong. Or, you know, can you fix this floor plan? So you're like, oh my God, do your 9 o'clock, finish at 10. You've got a half an hour drive time, literally get to your job 15 minutes early, doing it, just got your laptop, hotspotting, just pumping it out. And we did that for like 3 years, man. Like, we were killing ourselves. But, you know, you're making money at that stage, but you know, it's not even worth it at the point. Like I remember after that 3 years, we're like, okay, we need to hire people, you know? And
how did that go about?
That went about it in a funny way, actually. Jason, I went overseas, and Jason's super organized. Like, we're yin and yang. Like, that's not my forte. Right?
Yeah.
Like, my email inbox sits at like 150. Jason gets one, he loses his mind. You know what I mean? Like, but that's why we work, you know? And I went overseas, Jason handled it, but I came back and I could see Jason was rattled. And I'm like, shit, are you all right? And he's like, no, I'm good. You know, and Jason can handle a lot. Then a couple months later, he was going away. I'm like, fuck that. I can't do what he does, you know? I need someone. So I put the feelers out and I started asking like some people, hey, I need a bookings person. Can you help me out? Because the hardest thing was for us is you're on the road and then people are calling you, your phone's blowing up and you can like, you're in a shirt and your phone's just vibrating and then people are trying to book jobs or move something or whatever. You need to get that sorted. So I ended up organizing a lady to help us out. It was actually one of the real estate agent sisters and she was fantastic. She helped us out and kind of showed us, okay, we don't need to do that. You know, that's something we can delegate, you know? And Jason left. Thank God I had that lady. She was taking all my bookings. I was like, can you do this as well? Like just throwing a few things at her. And then when Jace came back, it ended up being a success. I was like, all right, we need a bookings person. And then, but she was only, because she had kids at the time, so she wasn't a full-time worker. So we ended up finding someone full-time. And then that worked out really well. So we ended up getting a bookings person helping us out in the morning, sending jobs off. And then next thing you know, we ended up, I remember I was driving past a house and there was a photographer. I was like, hey, you know, are you contract or do you full-time? She's like, contract. I was like, give me your number.
Pulling him off the street.
Literally like that. And then I ended up calling her. She ended up working with us for like 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And she was one of our best photographers. And, you know, and then... it's funny because in the creative one, we started to see people kind of gas out at like 3 years, 3 years, you know, and I'm like, how do we stop this? It's hard. There's no, you know, because it is exhausting because the real estate game, again, it's so fast paced. It's so intense. It's not for everyone. And again, because it's your own business, you look at it a little bit differently. You kind of have to be a bit more tougher than someone working 9 to 5. And it's like, how do you make it better for them? And, you know, we've tried to do that over the years and we still work on it to this day. You know, it's, you know, minimizing the jobs they're doing. So they're not doing 7, 8 jobs like we were. But again, because these real estate agents are so unorganized, one of our guys might only have 5 jobs and, you know, I'm packed to the brim, might have to squeeze that extra job that day. Hail Marys used to be like 1 or 2 a day. Now we're doing like, Jesus, like 5 Hail Marys a day almost, you know, and Hail Mary is like, hey, the sun's come out. Can you quickly get to this property, take a facade? Hey, the owner just decided they want to do drone shots. Hey, can we, you know, the owner thought we might need 3 more shots for this, whatever it may be, you know? So that's a big thing that's changed in the industry.
How do you go about setting vendor expectations, like especially with photography, because this is their, you know, they obviously want the best price. It's their baby. How do you guys go as the photographer? You're there to sell their property. You're essentially one of the main reasons why people walk through the door. Like that's your job, to get people to walk through the door to see this property. How do you go about? Because some vendors are quite
100%.
How do you go about navigating that?
Look, you got to play with what's in front of you. You know, you've got. I can't stand when I go to a vendor's house and it's like, I'm a photographer. Really? What kind of photography do you do? So I shoot babies.
Oh, that's awesome.
I shoot houses. Like, that's nice. You know, and they're like they're probably the hardest ones to deal with. I think you've really got to, you know, it's talking to the agent first of all. Like some of the agents will prep you and say, hey, like this owner's really difficult. I love when they say that and you go in and they're fucking, the vendor's amazing. You know, I think just the way because maybe they're a bit defensive towards the agents. You know, because obviously it's a different realm they're dealing with. But sometimes we get there and they open up. And I think just breaking the ice a little bit and, you know, you'd be like, get on the job and say, hey, Ken, how long you lived here for? You know, and they're like, oh, I've been here 15 years. Beautiful. Is there anything, you know, you'd love me to shoot today or do you just want me to do my thing? And again, they're hiring you for your experience, you know, and this is what we train our guys. You're like, the worst thing you can do is like get there and go, what do you want me to shoot? And it's like, dude, why are we paying you X amount of dollars when you're asking me what? And then the first thing they'll say is, well, I don't know, you're the professional. And that's like, you've already said the wrong thing. If they're saying that to you, you know, you stuffed up. You know, so, you know, and when I ask them, I'm just, you know, I'll say, look, John, do you want me to show you what I'm thinking? And they're like, yeah, please. And you know, say it depends as well. You know, sometimes it gets a bit frustrating when, you know, you're shooting like a $15 million home and an agent's booked 5 shots. It's like, dude, it's like 5 bedrooms. You know, like you're not giving me a lot to work with, you know, and then, you know, it depends on the packages. Sometimes a 20 shooter, you know, say, Johnny, happy for me to do my own. I like getting left alone because then I feel I can get my most creative. And again, some agents really want to be involved, which is fine. You know, they have their view on, like, they obviously know what the market, what the feedback is, you know, I thought this place was a lot bigger from the photos or whatever it may be, and again, shooting from the corners, that's going to make a property look the biggest. Shooting straight on's kind of come into play a little bit more because people are looking for that more, not architectural, but more magazine style photography. Editorial stuff. And I love doing that. I love having it's so basic doing the corner shots, but some agents love that.
Yeah.
Some vendors do, depending what kind of, if the house, again, is it a rainy day?
Lighting.
And again, like sometimes, oh man, this is not going to go good because the vendor's so OCD. It's a cloudy day. The agents push for you to do it on a cloudy day. And you can hear the owner say, oh, we should have really done this on a sunny day. And you're like, they're so going to pull this up, Yeah. And then sometimes you do have to go back or whatever it may be. But again, you're helping the agent out. You're trying to do the best you can. But look, you've got to stay creative, and sometimes you do get caught in your own way. Sometimes it's nice just even to hear like, hey, what about this angle? And you'd be like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. You know what I mean? So I'm always open. So I'm not, you get so caught up in your own ways sometimes. So it's nice to kind of hear other people's thoughts on it as well.
Can you ever do too good of a job? Like, you know how you look at things?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for a new studio at the moment, right? And I've gone into a place and I'm like, bro, the photos are so bright. Like, it looked so much brighter than when I walked in. It was dark as fuck. And I was like, bro, these photos are too good.
We do places, and again, like you've got the perfect sunny day, sun's dripping in, they've styled it. Again, it's a mega mansion somewhere in, Bellevue Hill or whatever it may be. And then the next listing they get, it's a shitter, like it's not tenant's furniture, cloudy day. Yeah. And they're like, these photos just don't look the same as Bellevue Hill. And it's like, mate, we're not comparing apples and apples here. Totally. And then I start going like, I can tell this was done on a sunny day, whatever it may be. So, you can set the bar quite high, but again,
Are those the type of homes where you have to shoot for like character as opposed to like you have to tell a story with, say, if it's not a $15 million home, how would you shoot something like that?
Listen, I always. I've sold a fair few properties in my time, so I always look at it from as if I'm a buyer, what I'm going to like to see, So, sometimes agents want to shoot. I believe they overshoot sometimes. You got like a 3-bedroom house, they want 15 photos. Like really, for the aim of the game, for marketing, from a marketing point of view, should be to be like, oh, wow, let's go check it out. But then you start going, wow, don't like that room. Someone's looking into the bedroom. Wow, oh, I don't really like you're just giving them more reason not to want to go, And if they're a serious buyer, I believe, like I know from me, because when I was looking, because I'm in the game, I know how to nitpick a photo. I'm like, okay, they shot it from here. They're hiding this. Let me have a look at the second bedroom. Someone's peeking through the window. I don't want to... No one wants a main bedroom with someone peeking into them. So things like that. And then if I'm shooting someone's bedroom, ideally, if I can shoot in a better way without showing, hey, the neighbor's staring right into your bedroom, I'll do it from another angle. What I mean? And then the owner, and I think you need, like for our industry, you have to have a reason to why you did it. So, at the end of the shoot, I'll be like, hey, John, Mary, I've shot it from this side of the room just because if we shoot from here, you can see the neighbors peeking through and people aren't going to really like that. Oh, but it looks small. Look, I'm more than happy to shoot it from the other way. And then the agent will be like, no, I think it's better. We want to get people through the door. So you're almost conditioning them because sometimes people think you're doing like a Vogue shoot. And it's not. We're selling your house. And I think sometimes, people forget that. You get people who are interior designers and you're shooting their house and then when you take 25 photos and put 25 shots up on the website. But I'm happy to do it. Listen, more money for us. But I'm at that point where I just give honest feedback to them. I'm like, Mary, I don't recommend taking 4 bedrooms. Like bedrooms are boring as is. Like 2's probably enough. So yeah.
That's knowing the audience too. Like you've done it enough, and you know who these photos are for and what they're looking for. When I worked for Shoe Grab, so I did videos for sneakers. It just reminds me of this exact same story. And I did this video for the owner. And he was like, bro, this video is epic. Like, it is so good. And he's like, but you could see the girl's sock, like the tiniest bit. You could see her sock in the video. And he goes, I can't post this because there's like 5 clips where you can see her. And I'm like, bro, who cares? And he's like, I think it's a great video, and it is. But if I post it, sneakerheads are going to rip me in the comments. So, like, the audience, it's like knowing the audience. He's like, we sell sneakers. Our audience are guys that are obsessed with sneakers. If they see that sock, as good as the video is, I'm going to get ripped. And he goes, I can't use it. And it's like, I should have known better. It's like knowing the audience. Like, okay, cool. I made this mad edit and it's cool. I made all these awesome photos, but I know the audience, they're not going to like you said, they're not going to want someone peeking through the window.
No, that's right.
And you only know that because you know the audience, you know who's looking for it.
That's right. And like, I know, because, you know, when you are buying, again, I think the less is more, you know, like honestly, that's going to get more people through the doors, even because, again, you might see the photos, okay, and then you might not love the property just from the photos, but when you get to the property, it might give you a totally different emotion. You know, like, oh, I could live here. You know what? Maybe we could put the kids in this room. No one cares about kids, you know, having no sunlight. Like, do you know what I mean? It's more about the main bedrooms or whatever.
Do you ever feel pressure, like, say it doesn't perform, like not enough people show up? Do they ever make you feel pressure? Like,
you mean
real estate agents?
Real estate agents.
I think the vendors press on the agents. Hey, why isn't, realistically, in my eyes, if there's no one turning up, it's generally the price. Because I know a lot of agents, and some of these guys will rip photos from 4 years ago, put 2 shots up and sell the property for a record price. And so if a property's not selling or no one's going to look at it, generally means the owner's being not realistic, you know, like, and you can't say that. And I think the agents have got to do the best they do. So if the vendor's breathing down their neck and saying, oh, you know, I've only had 2 people, you didn't shoot that 4th bedroom, you know, the agent will be like, Yuri, can you go back, man? I'm having a bit of trouble with this person. So no worries, man. You know, but again, you try to, even on site, sometimes I'll take extra shots, but I won't send it to the owner. Like if they've only booked 20, I might take 25 and just keep the 5 up my sleeve just in case they come back and say, oh, why didn't you take that? Oh, well, I did take it. I'll let me edit it and we'll send it off to you. So we kind of almost prep for the, you know, just saves us going back out, you know, because you know it's going to happen sometimes, you know, or an agent doesn't turn up to a job and they trust you and you're like, I can go with my creativity, but I also know what he's like. So I'll do both, you know, and then I'll put what I like anyway. But generally it's funny. Sometimes you're like, you'll be on the shoot with the agent. They're like, oh, I don't know about that shot. You know, it's not showing the room, but I'm like, it's a dope shot. Like, this is a good shot. I'm like,
trust me, it's really
good. And I'm
good.
like, no, I'm keeping this. Like, I tell them, like, we're leaving this shot. Then you go on realestate.com. Guess what's the first shot? The shot you picked, you know, or it's on the signboard. I'm like, you know, so
that's why real estate agents are photographers.
Well, that's it. And sometimes they get, I'm like, I'm going to come to your auction and just badger you in the back.
Exactly.
You know, fuck, like.
So you were talking before about one of your staff members is quite introverted and like quiet, but he creates these amazing things. How important do you think it is to be, especially in your industry, dealing with all these people, like a people person, and to be extroverted and to have to deal with all these different types of people?
Do you mean starting on your own? Is that in that sense?
say when you, because obviously you've got the experience, you have all this sales experience, you've got all this experience dealing with different types of people. The average person is, the average photographer I've found especially is quite introverted and can't really talk to people. How valuable is that skill? Like,
to develop those
skills.
skills.
Especially.
Look, I think it comes with, you can't buy time. You know, experience comes with, the more work you do, the better you're going to get at something. And listen, if you're delivering banger work, I don't think anyone gives a fuck if you can talk or not. Like, literally, advice, from a content creative side point of view, like, you know, I'm sure if you never met somebody and went to their shop, took a few videos and just said, hey man, I was at your shop today and delivered a banger video, they're going to be like, dude, come back and do it. You know, they don't even need to see your face. You know, as long as they're happy with your work, I think that's definitely the first thing.
So your work should speak for itself.
100% it should. But, you know, I think being confident, being able to, because you also want to cross-sell. You know, you might want to, you know, hey, John, do you have any other family members that have their own businesses? Oh, yeah, my uncle's a construction worker. He'd love your stuff. Oh, can you give me his number? Do you mind if I grab his number? You know, it's getting a little bit quieter. We're coming into winter. I'd love to do some work with him. You know, bang, there's one lead, you know, and then you can call him up and say, hey, John, I think I refer me.
Such a sales professional.
Yeah,
that's so good. That's how you should be thinking.
But like,
a lot of photographers and videographers don't think that way. It's like,
look, if you don't ask, you don't get. I'm really big on that, you know, and I always ask, you know, whether it be like going to a, you know, checking in at a hotel. I'm like, hey, do you have any, do you have anything on the top floor that you could give, you know, it's me and my wife's wedding anniversary. I'll make something up, you know what I mean? Like, do you have anything you can any upgrades available? And you have a bit of fun, a bit of banter. And generally you'll get it. Like, I'm not joking. Totally. Like I had my 40th and I went to a hotel and I was like, do you have any anything on house? It's my 40th. Sorry, anything, any upgrades available? It's my 40th. She upgraded me. I was
wow.
Like, I was like, thanks. If you don't ask, you don't get.
If you don't ask, that's good. Yeah, that's a good one.
And even like, again, like, it doesn't just stop with that, you know, real estate agent that we're doing work for, you go into the vendors, and like some of these guys, again, they're in a $15-20 million home. They've probably got their own businesses, or probably, you know, going to need some content somewhere, or photos, or whatever it may be. And you do, like, you know, how long have you been doing this for, Yuri? And you'll have chats with them. John, what do you do? Here's my card. You know, if you ever need anything, and you get those calls, you know? So it is you know, as a creative, I think having that word of mouth is very, very important, you know, because, you know, not everyone can fund their Facebook advertising or social media. It's not cheap anymore.
Do you think, how have you found like the difference between, say, referrals versus paid marketing?
Well, referrals are already through the door, really.
Yeah.
Referrals, you know, because they, you know, I got a call last week because they saw one of our reels from an agent, and the agent referred us, and man, he was just ready to book jobs in, you know, whereas sometimes when people just see on socials, they may not have worked with you. They just, you know, it's new to them. That might be their first time they've even thought about getting content. So you've got to kind of sell yourself a little bit more to them in a sense.
Yep.
Because, you know, I'm sure that guy who got referred to you would have already done his homework and been like, oh, you know, how are these guys to work with? And we're like, man, these guys are the best, you know, or whatever they may say, you know.
Exactly. So word of mouth is still king.
100%.
Okay.
We treat everyone, you know, whether you're selling a unit to a mega mansion, whatever it may be, we still, you know, we don't cut no corners, you know, so.
And it's the best way to get people. Like if you're getting referrals, it shows that you're doing great work.
Yeah, 100%.
Like it's proof that you're 100%. Actually doing it.
And again, don't judge a book by its cover, man.
Yeah, true.
You could be shooting a guy with a 1-bedroom unit, and next thing you know, he's, you know.
Well, the thing is, if you're getting no referrals, that's a bad sign too.
Look,
right? Like,
it's a good sign to say, hey, something needs to change. Like maybe I'm doing this the wrong way.
I don't know. What do you think about
But
that?
I think it takes time to get the, like, yes.
But you know, like if you're 13 years in, you're not getting any referrals.
Yeah, that's okay.
Do you know what I mean? Or like they
sign.
go down. It's probably a sign that people aren't talking about.
But you got to, as well, like 13 years, and I'm not doing what I was doing. We've changed so much in 13 years. Like, and I'm constantly on socials, which I hate. I don't enjoy it, but I've kind of got to be, you know, like, oh, what's this guy doing? Oh, I like what they're doing here. Let's try that. Because if you stick to the same thing, it gets old pretty quick, you know, and I'm sure you've seen that from the creative realm, you know, doing transitions that were done 3 years ago or whatever it may be. But it's funny, sometimes those things actually come back into play, and a little bit, you know, sometimes people want the, you know, those crazy transitions, the boom, bang, this and that. And then now it's almost a little bit more simpler and cleaner is probably more effective. You know, even following the algorithms, like now we've got, you know, our social media and marketing team, they're amazing at telling us what works better, you know, because they test it on our own socials, you know, and we, you know, again, we'll put something out, it's so polished, it's so, you know, audio's perfect, all that stuff doesn't get nowhere near as many views as something done on a shit iPhone or, you know, it's grainy, it's wobbly, or whatever it may be, and that goes off. So sometimes you can't even pick it.
I've seen some of those on your page, on the core page. They've gone off, and I'm like, they've just shooting it for their phone. It's
So
you're involving your staff.
I hate it. I hate the algorithms now. They don't even. You
don't know what.
random,
you don't know what's going to do well.
And before, like I kicked myself. We didn't spend more money earlier because, like, you know, doing Instagram and Facebook advertising was so cheap.
Yeah.
You know, and I started. I was putting like $20, man,
Especially
and it was going out to like 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Yeah.
You know, $20. You're lucky to get one person look at you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how much they change the game. And you know, honestly, on Instagram, you really do have to put the money behind it. Otherwise, you're not going to get those, unless you interact constantly. But no one's got time for that, you know. Or,
it's a full-time job.
100%.
AI maybe. There could be a AI. I don't know what you call it, assistant that could do that. That could be cool. Anyway.
There are those. So, like knowing everything that you know now, like 13 years in, if you were to have done it from the beginning, as of today, what would you do different compared to what you did back then?
Or would you not do anything different and just...
Yeah, you've done all right, mate.
You've done pretty well.
You've done pretty well.
I mean, it speaks for itself.
There's always 1,000 things I look back and I think I could do differently. You know, I could have done videos from the get-go.
Yeah.
I could have learned that. I only started videos, 3-4 years ago. Earlier. Hiring people was probably the biggest one. I think if you're flooded and you're drowning, that's a clear sign, hey, you need some help.
It's hard,
that's
hard to accept
that. And the hardest thing as well is when you do hire people, it's hard to... they're going to do it their way, and you've got to kind of let people do it their way. You know, even though you want it, hey, I do it like this, or this
hard,
is,
right?
you know, I still had this battle with my social team where they posted a photo and I'm like, oh, I don't love that photo. And they're like, but we like it. You know, I'm like, no, take it down. And there was like sparring going on behind the scenes. I'm like, no, take it down. I don't like it.
Yep.
And Jason's like, Juri, man, chill out. You know, and I'm like, you know, but I just didn't like the photo. And it could have been because there was a light or something I didn't like or whatever it may be. It wasn't framed the way I thought it could have been framed. So that took a lot of getting used. Even now I see stuff that we post and I'm like, don't love it. And then it goes off. And I'm like, I'm not just, no one's to say that my opinions, the be and end all of, you know, opinions, you know what I mean? Yeah. So when I said I've just learned to let go, and then sometimes I'll be like, can we post this way or whatever it may be. So I still try to get involved in that side of things, but you know, our team's growing our socials now, they're doing such a good job. So I'm like, okay, the proof's in the pudding. Like, you know, clearly they're doing something right. And again, letting that go means I can focus on something else, you know? So
delegation.
Yeah, delegation, you know, and, but wait, look, you know, we've enjoyed it so much, you know. Again, it's those little wins, you know, like setting yourself little goals and things like that, and then you hit them. I think that's what gets me going, the little buzz, you know. You know, you go to the gym and you're like, I want to, you know, bench a certain amount, and you get to it, and you're like, yeah, sweet, next one, you know, let's do it again.
Was there a point, like a highlight? You know how you said you had this idea when you started. Was there a point where you were like, shit, this is actually happening? Like, this is work. Like, the idea I had is working. Jace is there going, man, you've had all these crazy ideas. They're always wild. Was there a point where you're like, fuck, this is my ideas?
Yeah, I think like the first year. I was like, because I think the first year, like, it was just, we were just getting the work.
Did it feel good?
Yeah,
like, to be like, bro, I knew this was going to work.
I was on cloud nine, man. You know, and again, like, it sucks because my mum and dad, unfortunately, I lost them a long time ago. But during that period, you know, you just kind of want to prove them wrong. Like, you know, I told you I could make some money doing real estate photography, you know what I mean? And shame they're not here to see what it's become. But, you know, especially my old man, I would have been like, I told you we could make some money. You know, that was kind of like, always ekes me a little bit. But they could see, like, they were alive at that time. But it was, you know, we were working like crazy, man, you know, and we were just enjoying the ride, you know, and you know, what's the saying? The reward is the journey, you know, and that's so big. I love that, you know, because it's true. You forget that, you know, you forget, you know, like even again, going back to like whether it be a gym or learning how to do something, and you finally get there and you're like, damn, I'm here now. Man. You know, the fun part was learning how to get there, you know, almost the build up to it. So, you know, and even now I try to set myself little goals. Like I don't edit like videos, you know, but I want to learn because I've got the best guys around me. True. You know, and just something as a creative, I just wanted to learn how to do it, but I just don't have, I'm time poor a little bit in the sense that I've got kids now and I do really enjoy having my balance. You know, I've like in my mind, I'm like, fuck, I've been doing this for 13, 14 years. I'm allowed now to enjoy my kids. You know, they're back, like I've got a little 2-year-old, so I'm going to enjoy it. You know, you don't get that time back. You know, she's going to start school soon. Then I'll lock back in even harder and do it all over again, you know? So
it does. I feel that too. Sometimes when it's like really busy and like you want to complain, but you're like, this is what I wanted.
This is what you wanted,
Yeah, and it's like appreciated.
And you got to take it. Look, you got to take it when it comes, because you know, especially for us. I know I used to freak out a lot and I think when I started the industry, because winter would drop, I'd be like, what's going on? We're not doing nowhere near as many houses as we were last couple months ago. You know, I'd freak out. And then I just learned that's the way of the industry. And we, you know, COVID happened and we grew dramatically because everything was shut down, but the real estate industry wasn't. And so we're calling and
people were trying to sell their homes at that time?
People were trying to sell their homes. And it was I hated it, man. It was a scary time. No, but I did. Like, it was a scary time to work. Like, new diseases come. I've got a pregnant wife at the time. My mum's got lung cancer, and you know, I'm dancing around, like going to people's homes with this disease that we don't really know too much about. And we were getting stitched up during that time, and a lot of our team were working was it LGAs or whatever it was?
Oh yeah, the areas that they created.
You're not allowed to work, and we're calling the hotline. The hotline has no idea. They just get one person says yes, one person says no, and we're like, the agents are calling us like, are you guys still working? And we're like, yeah, I guess. So we were working, and then it was scary. You rock up to a house and someone opens the door and goes, and you're like,
it was one of those, anyone coughs and everyone just freezes. And it's like, what are you doing, bro?
Or you get someone, they open the door and you're like, don't come in, I've got COVID. And you're like, like biggest stitch ups at the time.
I would just bounce.
So man, it was like, I hated it because
take your own photos.
It was like that. Honestly, some days I'm like, you know, this is not worth it. You know what I mean? It wasn't worth it. But then we kind of had to implement kind of certain things like make sure no one was home during those times, because again, and making sure we wear masks, and if anyone's sick, please let us know, because we were getting stitched up a lot, and like that we worked that whole time during COVID, and it was crazy. Like the streets were dead, you know, and
it's a weird time.
And we also like usually generally would help tidy the place or style it, but at that time we were just like, no, we're not touching anything. So we had to put all those little things in just to make us feel, because some of our team were like freaking out as well. They didn't want to work, and like we didn't want to let anyone go during that period, because we know how tough that time was for a lot of people too. So we had to hold tight, and we thought
that was hard for business owners, right?
It really was, man. Really, really was. But then when COVID kicked off, you know, interest rates dropped and all that. Like we went from like a 4 or 5 man team to, I think we went 15 or something like a year later. Like we just blew up.
I saw a lot of business owners in that situation. You could tell that they didn't want to let anyone go, and they're like, "I'm going to work harder because I want to keep these guys."
100%. And we said to our team, like openly, like we don't want guys, don't worry about your jobs. We're going to try to do our best to you know, keep you like keep everyone on board for as long as we can. And thank God we did. And like again, we still had the work, which was a lot of people didn't. You know.
Exactly.
You know.
That's insane. That's cool, man. We've done well. You've done well. No, you've done great.
Yeah, you smashed it.
Yeah, and so for us, a lot of our audience is like creatives that are just starting out that want to become full-time. So what would be some advice? Like if there's someone out there that's like wanting to be in the creative space, but they're working at Woolies, or they're working a job that they know that isn't what they want to be doing. They're working for that real estate agent guy.
And they want to change their life.
And they just know, they see other people out there on social media that are living out their dream. They see John out there doing their idea. John's killing it.
John's still doing well, by the way.
Is he? Yeah, I was going to ask. Like, he started like a year before you or something?
Yeah, a year before me.
And he's still going? That's good.
Yeah.
Good. I like awesome. John came around when you first brought up John. I'm like, who's this guy?
Yeah, he wasn't my favorite person, but
then he came around. He had your back.
Yeah, but like again, like a lot of people. It's like I said, it's a hard industry to do, and I couldn't have done it without Jace as well. Like we bounce off each other, and again, there's some days, man, I hate the industry so much. You know, because I still to this day, I feel like it's underappreciated, undervalued content. Like you guys, you know, we shoot videos, and you know how much work you put into it. Like your time, like no one pays you that extra money because it's taking you 5 years to learn how to use a camera. Like that stuff you don't learn overnight, man. Like it takes time. And then doing the edit. And like even for us, we're constantly, people are trying to hustle us on price, and we stick to our guns because we've got a quality product. But even then, I'm still we could probably be putting our prices up at least 20-30% sometimes. You know, and
they're like, oh, we just want just a 20-second video. Like they make it sound like it's nothing.
It is, but
just a little.
You take the good with the bad as well. Some guys, you know, they appreciate what you do as well. So you know, for someone starting out, I think don't rush the process. You know, you because you rush it, you're going to make mistakes, like even more bigger mistakes. And you're not going to deliver the product that the client wants. And also, you know, depending on the client, find out really what they want. You know, you really, really got to dig deep. Like when we do other projects besides real estate, you know, we have like a form. Hey, what are you thinking? What type of music? What type of vibe? How do you want it shot? Is it cinematic? Do you want slow? Like, because then you're going to have less problems, you know, when you deliver the product, you know?
That's massive,
and I think
right? Doing all the work pre-shoot.
Because you want to, because they've come to you and they've got an idea in their head. And if you don't execute that idea, no matter what you do, they're not going to be happy with. So the closer you can get it to that. But sometimes they might go opposite. It's like, guys, you just do what you think, you know? And sometimes you deliver, you know, a product and they're like, I love it. Can we just change the song? And you're like, cool, no worries. Or take a few snippets out and stuff like that.
I feel like you also, there are things that I notice that you have and you are just taking them for granted. Like you have like the sales background, the hustle in you, reaching out to all these agents at the beginning.
Yeah, 100%.
All of that, I think you just think everyone's
going back to, you know what I said, like you can't buy experience. Like it takes it takes time. Like, and my life kind of shaped me up to be, I think, because I was an older real estate photographer, you know, I started probably when I was around, 28-ish, I'd say. Yeah. So I had all that life experience, you know, I had a lot of sales jobs in the background. You know, I worked in shitty construction, so I knew how hard to make money was. Like anyone who works in the construction game will tell you it's fucking hard. Yeah. It's a hard world to be in, man. You're waking up, you're doing OT. You don't sit down, man. Like you don't sit down when you're on those, like especially as I was doing form work. That's a hard, like, physical job. So when I'm coming to this world of holding a camera. I'm like, this is fucking easy.
Yeah,
and then I meet other
yeah.
photographers, and they're sooking about like, oh, I did 4 jobs. I'm like, what are you sooking about? Yeah. So when I started working as a full-time photographer, like the officers call them and saying, oh, like they're on tippy toes because everyone's whinging, and they call them and say, oh, do you reckon you could do 1 or 2 more? I'm like, throw it on my list. Fuck, this is easy. Like nothing, man. I'm waking up at 9. Yesterday was a rain day. I did 2 jobs. Like I'm still getting paid full-time for it. Like, come on, man. Like, you know, puts everything to perspective, but then you get young guys who are like 18, 19 or whatever, and that's their first job. Yeah. Man, they're whinging about this, whinging
they have
about
no
that.
idea.
They have no idea.
No idea.
You know, so for me, it was like, man, I get to hold the camera. I get to do what I love, you know, for a job. So
it's crazy. It's good. It's good to have those shitty jobs and to have that experience.
100%.
Because then you're almost like you've got something to run from. It's like I'm never going back to that again.
Yeah. Sometimes like I've had team members who they start whinging. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna ship them to the building site for a month.
Like, yeah, exactly.
See what it's like for these poor guys. Like these guys are waking up 5:30. They're training it to the city or wherever their job may be. They might live in the out west and the job's in Manly. Like, you know, I know guys who were traveling from Wollongong to Sydney every day. You know, so they'd wake up at like 4:30, get on their train or whatever it was, then go back home to Wollongong. I mean, you guys are whinging about traveling 20 minutes to, you know, Bexley or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? So so
sense.
I'm a bit old school. So this is where me and Jace,
it's so true.
like me and Jason, you know, Jason's a bit more like, because I worked in those, Jason worked with the same company for 10 years. So I guess he didn't really see, you know, I worked for horrible bosses. I had a few bad bosses in my time. So I knew what was out there. And, you know, where Jason worked for a great company, had great bosses, great people around him. So whenever I was a bit tough, Jason's like, come on, Yuri, that's a bit. And I'm like, no, like, you know, so we'd butt heads in that situation for certain things. And
it's
I'm
good
like,
to have different perspectives.
I'm like, so-and-so's being a whinger. Like, come on, toughen up a little bit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, come on, man, you drive around Bondi Beach taking photos of houses. Like,
it's a pretty good gig.
Life can be a lot worse.
Yeah.
You know? So
a lot worse.
A lot worse, man.
It's so true, man. I hate complaining. Every time when things get busy,
I know.
And I feel myself about to complain, I'm like, no, you're living the dream, bro. Like, you're living the dream. Like, this is...
It's human nature. You're going to do it, you know, and I think it's about balance too. You got to have that work-life balance, you know. And I didn't. When we started, we had no life balance. You know,
well, how many hours a week were you guys doing at the first couple of years?
I was literally up, say, 5:30,
all of
5:30 till like 9:30.
Yeah,
straight, like, because
every day.
You know, last, because what was worse for us was daylight savings, because that means there's even more sunlight, which means I can squeeze even more shoots in. So we hated it because nighttime, that means thank God I can't fit anything else in. So we'd literally do, honestly, I reckon 8 to 10 jobs a day. So you'd be shooting your first one at like 8:30, and like literally you'd be shoot, drive, shoot, drive, shoot, drive, shoot, drive, shoot, drive. And I'd pack a bit of lunch and like a little esky and just from my tradie days, have a little esky, you know? So, and then like literally you'd be doing jobs at 6:30 and dusk is at like 7:38. So you'd work all that way through, come home, you're rattled. I'd have to send all my jobs off because they got to get edited for the next morning. Like, it was crazy, man.
Yeah.
I don't like, looking back, me and Jace were like, fuck, how did we do this? Yeah. We did for too long. Like, you know, so yeah, I'm surprised we survived that long.
It's good though. People like need to know that. Like, that's what it takes. Like, you want to have a business that lasts 13 years. Like,
I don't think many people these days like understand the work ethic that you have to actually get something off the ground.
100%. And we also didn't spend like the money we were making. We weren't out there buying stupid shit, you know. We weren't buying fancy cars, all these watches or whatever. Like, a lot of agents, they make their first 2 comms and they're buying Rollies or whatever it may be. You know, but like, we were really, really like, okay, well, let's build it up. Let's like give ourselves a really, really minimal wage. Just paid ourselves a really, really simple thing that we're both going to survive on. We had that for like 4 or 5 years. Like, we were leaving it in the business, because then we knew one day eventually we're going to probably get somebody, you know, love to get an office. And then, and again, we called ourselves Core Photography because we thought we'd dabble into other kind of photography realms, not just real estate. Like, you know, we thought we didn't want to call ourselves Core Real Estate Photography because we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves. So, no, that was one of the reasons behind it too. So,
did you think at that time ever that you're going to have 30 people working under you?
No, man. No, like, even now, like, it's like we're still even trying to think, where does it end? Not where does it end, but like, I don't know if I want to get to 50 people almost, but sometimes the work requires it because we're getting that much work. It's great, you know, but you want to be a profitable business, you know, so you also want to be, this is a lot of thing probably for only creative starting up as well. You're going to get to a point where you got to also weigh up, like, it sounds mad to say I've got 30 people, but if you're making the same money you're making at 15 people, why do you have 30 people for? You know, it's also, and you're just going to have more headaches at 30. So that's a game you've got to play with yourself, which we did earlier on. It's like, okay, is it worth having this many people? So forth, you know? So that's something you've got to consider in a business as well. You know, is the headache worth it, you know?
But sometimes it's also good to be like, look, we're going to make this, but it's going to take all this stress off us. Like, we don't want to do any of this work. That's what I'm finding now. I'm like, in the meantime, I'm going to make a little bit less money, but I also don't get to do all this work that I hate doing right now.
That's right.
So it's a balancing act.
And you're sacrificing, you're not going to the gym, because then there are things you need to do, like just simple things, going to play a sport, you know, on a Thursday night, going golfing with your mates or whatever it may be, you know, going out for dinner with your wife and kids or whatever. Like you sacrifice those things at the start. You know? And you sometimes, honestly, the money becomes like not even important at one stage of it. You're like, all right, I'm making bank, but fuck, I'm just fucked. I'm frazzled. I'm rattled. It's not worth it, you know, and like, and you need to have those breaks. I really, really think like it's important to take that time away, turn your phone off and go away. And that's another blessing to have a business partner. You know, I can do that where I can shut the phone off, give it to, you know, earlier on in our days, I could do that.
Do you guys have each other's back? Like you can notice when he's having...
Yeah. Like, you know, there's been times, you know, even...
That's good.
You get, you know, I don't remember being sick for the first 5 years in court. Like there was no sick, you couldn't get sick. I remember breaking my hands. I remember doing my ACL, rocking up to jobs in like moon boots and like... picking my camera up with a strap on my arm, like, you know, like there's no, like as a business owner, it's all on you. You know, and that's what I mean. Like if I would have done things better, you know, would have honestly hired a lot earlier. Even I got one of my cousins, he's a plumber and he's getting a lot of work. And I said, don't be afraid to hire someone. Because it's a bit daunting. It is. Like, fuck, man, I've got to pay a wage. You know, I'm like, you know.
All that responsibility.
That's right. You know, and you kind of, you know, plays on you a little bit. So I said to him, trust me, you're good at what you do. So back yourself. And for us, there was no plan B. So for us, it was, this is it. This has to work. You know, so.
I told those construction guys, I'm not coming back.
Yeah, man. I threw my belt out. I actually threw my belt out like a year later.
Kept the lunchbox.
Kept the esky.
That was it.
But man, I did. I threw my belt out. I remember I was cleaning out my garage like a year later. And I was like, nah, don't need this anymore. It's done. I'm not coming back.
That's good. Yeah.
So it's nice. So
no plan B, just plan A. Yeah. That's good.
Bro, you've shared so much, man. This has been epic.
Yeah.
Thanks, I've loved all of it. I think I've learned heaps. For sure.
There's definitely a lot of like we always say nuggets of gold, but there's so much in there that people can unpack, especially if they're starting. Like
and just knowing what it takes to get to.
I think that's the best thing is like knowing what it takes and how much effort you actually have to put in to build something and build it to something that's as successful as core. So
because it's hard. I think there's a lot of creative start out, which is different. We were talking about it before. You came in thinking, all right, I've got a business idea first, and then you figured out the creative. A lot of people pick up a camera and they become creative.
That's right. Yeah.
And they're like, how do I turn this into a business?
Yeah.
And that's like almost everyone that we know.
Yeah,
and that's the hard part. You've almost done it in the reverse. So for a lot of people, when they pick up a camera, they're like, how do I become a creative doing this? And they look at anyone that's doing it full time as the goal.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the dream.
100%.
Then there's the creative that becomes full time and then look at you and they're like, how do I turn this into a lucrative business? How can I do this long term? So I think you are an inspiration to, you probably don't even know it.
Appreciate it, man.
To people like us, right? And to people that are starting out. Because it's like so many people struggle with like, how do I turn this into a business? How do I get out of the job I'm doing? That's just to become full-time. Then the full-time guys are like, how do I become this guy? And I think this whole episode has just shown the what it takes to actually get there. So
thank you, man.
Everything you've said has been epic, man.
No, appreciate it. Look, and you've got to enjoy the ride as well. Like I said, take those times off, spend a bit of money and go on holidays. Like what are you doing it for in the end? You know, like you're making all this bank, but you're fucking miserable. Like go enjoy yourself, go take a holiday, go buy something, you know, whatever it may be. Yeah, it's got to make you feel good. You know what I mean? So, and that's, then you do it and you go on a holiday and you come back and you're like, yeah, this is why we're doing it. And then you come back and you're even better. You know, you're more refreshed. You know, because as a creative, you burn out, right? You really do. Like it fucking plays on you, man. And like I sit in bed and you're just like, you know what I mean? Like you do. And my brain doesn't switch off. And it's like, babe, you got to chill. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying. You know?
I'm trying real hard.
But like, man. So look, it is good. It's a fun game to be in that we're all in. I love it, and it's gone crazy at the moment. Even like you guys, like joining up, teaming up to do a pod. What made you guys team up?
Yeah, we're loving it. So So I got to that point where I was just ridiculously
you were
busy
telling me,
and just burnt out. Bro, it was when we got on the phone call.
Yeah,
Remember
that's right.
you got in touch with me.
It's like, hey, what are you doing? Do you want to just work on the call?
He's like,
Yeah,
bro,
you were like, you want to do some work? And I'm like, bro, I'm looking for someone to fucking help me.
Yeah.
And then that's when I hit up Quinn because I was at that point where I was just like, man, I just can't keep doing this
And it's
every
so much
single
fun,
day.
like, doing it with someone you can.
And that's what's helped out. We actually get along really well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I found someone.
That's that's the first thing we said. We were like, oh, that'll actually probably work well because we're mates. So yeah, and we haven't fought yet.
No, not yet. That's why I was asking. I was like, man, I need to know what's coming.
What's
I
coming?
think, like they always say, don't go into business with your friends or family. But like, man, it's been like, I could do anything. Me and Jace, we have a really, really good respect for each other, and it just fucking works. You know, I've seen a lot of people try to go into business and it just doesn't work. But
you see it a lot, man.
Yeah, I see heaps of business like real estate agents go into partnerships, and I see them like 2-3 months. It's done, you know. But I'm very fortunate because I don't think I'm the easiest person to work with sometimes because, you know, like I'm a big dreamer, you know, and then like Jason's like, you calm down. Like I'll push us forward and Jason's like, hey, slow down.
That's fucking Kenny. Kenny's saying all this stuff and I'm like, hey man, okay, let's see if this works first. And then
so when we started, like I was the one drumming up all the business and Jason was doing all like the invoicing because he, like I said, his attention to detail is phenomenal. So and he had a bit of a background in accounts and stuff like that. So it made sense. I was getting, and then Jason's like, slow down. So we don't need more business. Like, and I'm just too excited, you know. I'm just like, this is working. You know, it's flowing, and it was so good. So good. So
that's epic.
Fuck yeah, you guys are very similar.
Everything that you just said, I was like, I feel that, man.
But you need that, man. You gotta,
that's true. Yeah,
like you got to have someone kind of pushing you. And I've even, you know, I've learned a lot from Jace over the years, and I know I've, you know, pushed him out of his shell a little bit as well. Because when we started, I'd be like, Jace, just call him, like, you know, whatever it may be. You know, it was a bit apprehensive about calling agents or having that chat or whatever it may be, and then, you know, 2 years later, Jason's picking the phone up, not shy, you know. So
it helps to have that other perspective, though.
It does.
Before he was around, is that same thing. I'd be in bed and you're overthinking all these ideas. Like, you're in your own head so much. And just having someone there to, like, get another perspective. I'm like, is this idea good or is it shit?
Oh, and sometimes I'm about to lose my top, and then you call Jason, he calms me down. Or,
and you need that.
And I'm like, I'm about to send the most abusive text
I'm
message
ready.
to someone.
I'm ready to go.
I'm like, paragraph D, and I'll just like, you know what? I'll just put it on hold. I'll give Jason a call. And then, you know, it calms me down. And then, it's like, why don't you just sit on it for a day? I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea. And the next day, I'm like, fuck, thank God I didn't send that. So... But yeah,
that's mad, but it's good, and it shows. Like you're talking about how much you love what you do. It shows because we haven't been able to shut this guy up for an hour. Like,
I know.
But it comes out of you, man. Like, you still love it. You're 13 years. This guy's still talking. Like you've been. If I didn't know, you'd be like, this guy started a week ago, and he's so excited about using a camera.
Oh, it's constant. But like again, I don't like. You asked me before, like, I never thought I'd have an office. I never thought these little things as we're going. I'm like, fuck, we actually might need an office, you know? And then I'll never forget, we had the office and it was like 2 people sitting there, and I'm like, it's a bit weird having an office for 2 people, you know?
Just gonna be looking at each other.
Yeah, but it was. But then we only signed a 3-year lease, and then after that 3 years, I think we had 12 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and then now we're at our new premises, and we're at like 30-something people.
That's amazing, bro.
You know, now it's like looking like shit. We might need a new one. We've just been in there for 6 months.
That's amazing.
You know, and I'm like, so that's awesome.
Great.
And again, you know, there's big goals. You know, we would love to go into interstate.
Yep.
You know, we are getting asked to do some work around, you know, different states and stuff like that. So that's probably the next goal. How we're going to do that? That's for another podcast.
Figure it out.
Of course. Definitely,
Easy.
dude. But I love seeing people win. Like I think it's so good. We all need to do more of it. And love seeing what you're doing. I hope it just keeps going.
And there's plenty of work for everyone. You know, that's what people forget. They get
That's what we always say.
People get paid in this industry. You know? And,
we don't support each other enough.
You know, because I helped a lot of people in the industry because at the start we were doing photography. So, you know, I'd refer people for different, you know, certain elements. And then we ended up doing the majority of it now. So
there's an abundance of work out there, bro.
So much work. Yeah. You know, and that's what people forget.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally. Yeah, they get too... They want to hold on to every little piece without knowing that, man, there really is so much work out there, bro.
Leads at the gym, right?
Yep.
For example, you do a lot of work for this gym.
Yep.
You make friends, you bros up everyone in this gym, right? You become friends with all these people, 10 people. I can tell you now, maybe 2-3 of those people are probably going to end up working in a different gym, right? Guess what's going to happen?
Yep.
They're going to go to the next gym. Someone's going to say, oh, man, we need some content. This guy Ken, I used to do work with.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, they do amazing content. Bang! Next thing you know,
Yep.
you're in that gym. Another person goes to a different gym. Same thing's going to happen.
It's that attitude.
So 100%,
That's
and
the
that works
attitude
for
to
us.
have.
Like if what we do, the real estate realm, everyone's just chopping and
but
changing.
when you look at the world from that perspective, that's when you realize, fuck, there's opportunities everywhere.
Abundance
It's only when you look
mentality,
at it from that point.
Everything's an opportunity, man, and people forget that too. You know, and it's good. Like you've got to make that effort. You know, you want people to remember your name. You really do.
Yeah,
like
bro.
it's you can't be shy. Like going back to what you say, listen, you can still make it if you're delivering cracker work, but you know, if you've got the best of both worlds, man, it's a recipe for winning.
Yes.
You know, it really is. Like if you can do both of those and do it really, really good, mate, you can't lose.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. That was great. That was a good point to leave it on. Good job, Yuri.
Cool.
Yeah, you're a
fuck
machine. Thank you, bro.
Killed it.